Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have an incredible program, and I'm really honored to welcome you. My name is Monica Phillips. I am a client development executive here at DLA Piper, and we're really honored to be a host. I've been a member of Watermark for 2 years. I love this community, and I'm really glad to see so many of you here. A couple of housekeeping items while the others are filtering in. Please, don't turn off your phones, just silence them. So take a minute, silence them now, and use your phones, take pictures, get engaged, and there are, the hashtags up here at Watermark, at Dr. Miluna, at DLA Piper, at my account, hashtag #on. So please use us. The Wi-Fi is DLA Daily Guest, and the password is 6, lowercase w, 6, uppercase Y, G. So I'm going to set this little cheat sheet card with the Wi-Fi password back between the wine and beer. So if you need to get up and look at it, you can. But if you want that again, it's DLA Daily Guest, and the password is 6, lowercase w, 6, uppercase Y, G. I have one thing to share about DLA Piper before I introduce the fabulous Marlene Williamson. We are honored to be part of, I have to read my notes because I didn't memorize. Have any of you heard of the Rooney Rule? So before the Rooney Rule, all of the coaches of the NFL were all white dudes. And this guy said, actually, the head of our diversity and inclusion program played on the Pittsburgh Steelers the time Rooney was coach. And what happened was he said, what if you just took a few minutes to consider someone you've never met before who's a minority? And it changed the face of the NFL. So if I get it right, it was a year ago, Karen Ulrich Stacy, who is the CEO of Diversity Lab, you know it, started a women's hackathon for law. And out of that came an idea to start the Mansfield Rule based on the first woman to pass the bar. And out of that, 50 law firms signed on to be leading this initiative. So at the end of this year, DLA Piper is one of those 50 law firms and will report on our efforts to improve women and minorities in leadership. And what the Mansfield Rule asks is that every time a new leadership position opens or one needs to be filled, that we consider at least 1/3 of the applicants to be women or minorities, which is phenomenal. It's saying there needs to be an intention there to get out of what you already know and make other choices. So I'm really excited to share that with you. You may have seen it on LinkedIn or Facebook already. It's kind of going around. There are 50 law firms doing this, and I'm so glad to be working at a firm that cares about this kind of stuff, which is why we're here tonight.
Yay!
to be hosting this fabulous Watermark event. So as I said, I've been a member for 2 years. I absolutely love Marlene Williamson. Marlene Williamson is the CEO of Watermark, which is a women's leadership organization with a purpose of getting more women in leadership positions. And just like this event tonight, Watermark hosts more than 50 events per year. And you may know of the Watermark Conference for Women, which fills the San Jose Convention Center with over 6,500 people. It's phenomenal. I was just sharing stories with someone else who'd been to the very first one with Hillary Clinton 3 years ago.
Wow.
And it was phenomenal to walk into a room of that many women all championing each other. So it's an honor to be hosting tonight, and I'm pleased to welcome Marlene to the stage.
So I just want to point out that Monica has been cooking all day long here, so give it up for Monica and the fabulous food that she has prepared for us. And I do want to comment that I heard one of you, I don't remember who it was, but you poked your head into this room and you looked at the bar and you said, oh, there's wine! And I just wanted to point out that if this is your first Watermark event, Watermark has adult beverages at all of them.
Yes, we do.
So just want to point that out. Anyway, welcome to all of you. We're thrilled to be here, and we've got an amazing lineup tonight. But to piggyback on what Monica was talking about, what DLA Piper is doing and all these other law firms, I want to point out that last week I had the privilege of attending the first board meeting of a brand new coalition of corporate CEOs who are getting together and taking the pledge for gender diversity in their companies. And the name of this coalition is called Paradigm for Parity. And Watermark is one of their partners. And so I want to read to you what they are asking CEOs to do. They're asking them to take a pledge to be transparent, and they're offering a toolkit to companies on do's and don'ts. And there's just 5 points of light that they are asking companies and CEOs to further the agenda of gender parity. Number 1, minimize or eliminate unconscious bias. Number 2, significantly increase women in senior operating roles. Number 3, measure targets at every level and communicate your progress. Number 4, base career progress on business results, not presence. And last but not least, identify women of potential and give them sponsors and mentors. So I share that with you because as members of the Watermark community that has been in the Bay Area for 25 years, and for many of you who work for companies that are wonderful Watermark sponsors, if you believe that your company is ready for this, if you believe that working with your HR and your diversity and inclusion teams would be open to having these kinds of discussions, please send me an email, marlene@wearewatermark.org, because I have the toolkit that Paradigm for Parity has put together. And thus far, they have well over 50 CEOs who have signed the pledge and are really making a difference. And nothing would make us all happier in this room to be associated with companies that are doing the same. So it's on all of us to move the ball forward, and this is a wonderful coalition that Watermark is very pleased to be a part of. So with that, I have the great pleasure of introducing Jennifer Wallace, who is the Executive Director of 1440 Multiversity. If any of you listen to NPR, you have probably heard their fabulous ads. This is an amazing nonprofit in the beautiful Santa Cruz Mountains where Watermark has created a Watermark Weekend for Leadership. And we have a very special offer for all members of the Watermark community. And please give it up for Jennifer, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the Watermark Weekend of yoga, adult beverages, leadership programs. Jennifer, take it away.
Thank you. So much for asking Susan, Freddie, to join me here. So first of all, you have probably noticed that you have our catalog on your seat, and I just wanted to briefly tell you that we are the nation's newest learning destination. We're in Scotts Valley. It took us about 45 minutes to get here today, and we're so excited to be open as of Memorial Day weekend, and we're named after 1440 is the number of minutes in a day in a 24-hour period. Each a moment to be present and connected. And multiversity is, we call it multiversity because it's not about a singular way of doing things, because we all have different doorways that we want to walk through to really learn and grow. And when you come to the Multiversity for this weekend program, or for any program, you have the opportunity to stay on campus, to take advantage of our beautiful healing arts facility, to have all of your meals at our dining facility called Kitchen Table. There are hiking trails, there's a fitness center, there are yoga classes and meditation classes, qigong, all kinds of phenomenal experiences. And of course, there's the main event, which is the program that you've signed up for. So of course, you can read about many of these here. You can also, if you if you're interested in this, you can connect with us if you'd like to bring your company to 1440 Multiversity. But the key main event that Susan's going to speak about is the Watermark weekend. So thank you.
So we're very excited to have Watermark come here and do their very first Watermark weekend for women. It's called The Conscious Leader with Abigail Sasson, and it's September 29th to October 1st. And we would love to give you an opportunity for a discount, and we have a special discount. The code is Watermark. All you have to do is put in Watermark. It's 20% off of the tuition for the program and also off accommodations as well. So that's good until July 7th. Come and join us. We would love to have you.
Thank you, ladies. I do encourage you to support 1440 because they do amazing work, and they are a nonprofit, and we do like to support other nonprofits here in the Bay Area. So now it is my great pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker. I'm telling you, do you remember where you were when you first heard that term, mansplaining? I should have Googled this tonight because it's like, who came up? The first time I heard about it was the women who worked for Barack Obama. There was a lot of discussion. They kind of got together and they go, God, these guys keep talking over us. And I don't know if they were the actual originators of the term, but that's certainly when I first heard about it. And there's no doubt we've all had this experience. And so we're all here to learn from our esteemed speaker tonight, Dr. Miluna Fausch. And she helps women CEOs, executives, and professionals grow their business and careers through presentations and how they use their voice. Previously, she was a professional singer and actor, and now she has an amazing business helping professionals like ourselves project and use our voice with authority. She's got a BS in music business and a PhD in holistic psychology. She's a VoiceWorks associate and a VoiceWorks teacher. She is a self-declared fuzzy. Now, for those of you who don't know what a fuzzy is, she is someone who majored in humanities or social sciences, while techies majored in computers or hard sciences. So this is going to be a blast. Can't wait. She's going to pull some of us out of the audience, and we're going to have a good time here and learn quite a bit. So please give it up for Dr. Miluna Fausch.
Thank you. Studies show that women are 50% more interrupted than men by both men and women. So I know you've felt this, and I know you've experienced this, and some of us feel like we're not being heard, right? Some of you are one of the few women leaders at your company, or one of the few women in leadership. Maybe you're the only woman in the boardroom. Maybe you just got promoted and now you supervise a lot of people during the day. So let me...
We need you to be a little louder.
Louder. Can I turn up or no?
Can she turn it up?
Are the volume...
Well, it has to be,
I think the volumes are up or no?
it's up already, but it's part
Excuse
of
us, we're videoing, so... Excuse me.
I think you're deciding to go for video.
For the room, I don't know how to turn it up. We're close,
So you're good as far as the video.
video's good, but this isn't?
This one goes into the house speaker, which is controlled by...
Mm-hmm. The handheld? You got it? How's that? Back row, hear me? 'Cause if you can't hear me, it's... part of what we're talking about. Ah. All right, let's rewind. Good, good. Okay.
All right.
Yay. Give the thumbs up. All right, all right. Okay, yay. So studies show that women are 50% more interrupted than men, by both men and women. And so I bet all of you have felt this and experienced this. Yes? Maybe you feel like you're not being heard right now. Got to have the correct mic, correct volume. Don't be afraid of the mic. Some of you may be the only woman leading your company. You may be the CEO, the only woman in leadership, the only woman in management. Maybe you're the only woman in the boardroom. Perhaps you just got promoted and now you're supervising many people throughout the day. So let me give you your first tip of the evening. When you're interrupted, I want you to practice the art of holding still. So I want you to stay in the game. I want you to slow down your pitch, your speed. Don't let your voice rise. And I want you to expand and take up a little more space and be bigger. Do not retreat. This will surprise them. Key number 2. I think we only have one man in the room. Where are the good men this evening? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch men, because men tend to be much better at this than women. They assume you're listening, and they expect to be heard. So I want you to adopt the same attitude, because what you say matters. And here's what I want you to do. Find 1 or 2 good men in your life, and I want you to practice being listened to. Literally let them listen to you and feel what that feels like. And own those feelings and own that feminine power. So my clients say to me that they have 4 big fears, we'll call them. There's a lot of fears about public speaking and presenting. But these were the 4 that I found were the scariest. So the first one is forgetting your words. The second one is not being able to think on your feet and respond to questions. The third one is looking silly or bad up here. And the fourth one is suffering from the imposter syndrome. If you know what that is, you may think or feel, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes? Raise your hand if you've had any of these fears. Probably everybody. Well, not everybody. Yeah, almost everybody. And Mary asked me to briefly talk about the job of the audience, right, Mary?
Yes.
Now's a good time. Did you know you have a job as the audience? You do. Step away from your cell phones, except for, as we said, posting, tweeting, taking pictures. Show the courtesy you would like if this were you up here. Sit tall for me, shoulders and neck relaxed, stay engaged, and be open to hearing something that just might change the way you think. Speaking of thinking, maybe you're thinking, well, that's easy for her up there because she's an actor and a singer and she's done all this. Au contraire, let me take you back to my childhood. I was told to be seen and not heard. Shushed all the time, frequently criticized, told I would never amount to anything. Good girls sat in the back row and stayed quiet. Extreme stage fright when I performed. Fast forward to my adulthood. I realized I was losing the hearing in my right ear, and my doctors found a benign bone tumor this big right here. I was in trouble. My face was paralyzed, and I developed a lisp and a speaking problem. So I had 2 surgeries to take that tumor out, and then I began to heal. And I realized that I had to rebuild my voice and rebuild my health and find out what my new voice was in the world. So speaking up became my journey, and it also became my business. So ladies, you can triumph over just about anything. Just about anything. Now let's talk about the definition of a presentation. I love to to define what words are. I like this one, welcoming speech. Isn't that a good one? Thank you. A couple of nods. Took a minute. Remember, your job is the audience. And it also means the way you're presenting yourself. Yes? A manner, a style of speaking, or putting oneself forward. I love that. Putting oneself forward. So, let me teach you the 3 keys. Yes? To owning your feminine voice and commanding any room. Let's go into that. The first key. Your real job when making presentations is to be in the present moment. That's the hardest one. You're supposed to be in the present moment. So I want you in the body, your mind focused, your energy strong, your intention clear, and your heart open. And you've got to develop the skill to learn to stay in that place. Stay out of your head, get in your body, and maintain that focus. When I was an actor, early on I realized the only time the scene was fantastic if I was present and in the moment and I was listening and reacting to my partner. And that is where the magic will occur for you and your audience. Now, last week I was at a financial seminar and a realtor spoke. And he looked like he could not wait to finish and bolt out of the room. He made the mistake of making it all about the PowerPoint. Most people make that mistake. Here's the real job, to bring benefit and value to the audience. And I met him afterwards, and he had a very nice personality, which was not evident from the boring PowerPoint full of data which he read. Yawn fest. Key number 2. Giving yourself time to prepare and rehearse and be amazing. People say to me, Miluna, I want to be great up there, but I don't have time to practice. Really? I think that's an excuse. You have to create time. You have to create space in order to be a superstar. You don't want to feel like $1,000 on the inside when you're looking for the raise that could take your business or your career to 6 or 7 or 8 figures. Yes? So you've got to practice. This is key. The third key. Let me take a sip here. I promise to make you aware of some of the mistakes that I see you making at work that are costing you recognition and costing you raises. So the first is posturing and behaving like a young girl rather than a businesswoman. So can you see me? I need to stay here for the video. Can you see this? Kate, would you demonstrate what I'm doing? I see this all the time. Yeah. Is she balanced by standing like this? All the time. Yeah. I could push her over. She is not balanced. Thank you, Kate. Her energy is not grounded. It's kind of lopsided, kind of cutesy. What I want is feet like this, lined up, so that you are centered and you are powerful and you are grounded and you are unmovable. You need to be unshakable and unmovable. Second mistake, not speaking loudly enough to be heard. What'd you say? Not speaking loudly enough to be heard. If you're surrounded by bold extroverts, you run the risk of forcing your voice and getting angry and being dismissed and not heard at all. The next mistake, stopping yourself by thinking that you're only effective in front of a small group of people. People say to me, I'm great in front of 5 to 10 people, but big rooms scare me silly. Don't think of it as different. It's not a different scenario. Let's see. The next mistake. And see, I forgot. It's me too. I had a specific order. That's good. And finally, another mistake that I see is, and I now hear men doing this as well, so it's become women and men, saying sorry without a valid reason. I hear this everywhere. Now, I don't mean if a true apology, a heartfelt apology is warranted. That's not what I'm referring to. I am referring to sorry, 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 which is mindless and meaningless and will cost you. Now, I've lived here 8 months now, having lived all over the United States. And what I've discovered about the San Francisco Bay Area is the predominant emphasis here is on the left brain, the masculine, the analytical, the numbers, the profit. Woo! That leaves out 50% of the energy needed to be whole, which is the feminine. And so this is an unsustainable and unhealthy arena to stay in. Your true voice and your true power lies in developing a rich and resonant voice that is the best of you. Not a kind of sort of voice, not a turned down voice. Otherwise, it's a kind of sort of you that's not aligned. And then you're not being authentic. So don't try to be what you're not designed to be. You're not a man. Why act and speak like a man? That reminds me of artificial sugar. Yeah? Mother Earth, in all her bounty and abundance, has created all of these natural sugars that are healthy for us. Our body says, yeah, I know what to do with that. I recognize that. I can digest and process that. So why be something you're not wired for? It just hurts everyone. It hurts everyone to not be authentic. And the ultimate disrespect that you can do as a woman is to disregard your own voice and your own power as a woman and that of every other woman by emphasizing the masculine qualities instead of balancing your beautiful feminine masculine mix. That hurts everyone. Be who you were designed to be. Yes? So sisters, now I'm going to teach you how to breathe. All right? I'm going to teach you how to breathe, sisters. Some of you are not breathing right now. I can tell. It's the shoulder thing. It's the shallow thing. I want to teach you how to breathe fully from the lower belly because the breath is your foundation. And everybody wants to skip past this. Your breath is your support. When you're speaking and you're commanding the room and you're in your power and you're grounded, you've got to breathe. And I had to overcome asthma and learn how to take a full breath so that I could hold a note as long as I wanted. Wow. Case made, yes? Point made. So journey with me. So focus right at your belly button or just below, the lower belly for the ladies. Since we're all ladies except for our videographer, we can talk this way. Now the journey goes like this. It goes all the way through the diaphragm, through the lungs, through the windpipe, through the mouth, out the lips, and it goes to the back wall. But the air also continues this way at a 45 up into the head. It's amazing. That journey that air has to take. So if I want to project to the back of the room, I can't stop here. I can't be a talking head. That air has to go all the way back. Feel what that feels like, belly to head. Does that feel different? That flow, that energy? My opera coach used to say, you must sing from your feet. Now I know what she's talking about. So from this moment on, I want you to think about your voice maybe differently than you ever have before. I want you to think of your voice as having depth and width and height and dimension. 3D. It's not static. It doesn't stop here. It goes here. Will you do that for me? Raise your hand. Oh. How about that deep breathing? Does that feel differently? And it's different from yoga. It's different from other kinds of breathing. All right. So now, I think those are the main points for now. Now I want to get my hands on some of you. So who has a challenge or wants to come up here and work with me? Please, come on down. Nee, 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 nee. Need to have music. Yay, welcome. Jennifer, brave soul, yay. Talk to me.
So I am pitching 200 micro-cap Wall Street investors
Yes.
next week.
Okay.
I have generally been told that I go too bassy, that I'm a little bit too heavy, and that I should learn to get more variety into my voice and more tone. So I've got a 10-minute presentation I'm prepping for, and this timing sounds perfect.
Yes. So let go of your hands for me. Just shake your hands down. Just kind of own it. Yep. Yep. I like it. See, that's balance to me. So imagine maybe a little more of a sing-song quality in order to get a little more dynamic. Yes? I don't have a problem with the lower pitch because it sounds like that's natural to you. I'd probably have to hear a bit more. But sing-songy, I mean like the Italian language or the Francais, not German is staccato, right? We can look at the languages. But Italian has a sing-songy and the Francais is a sing-songy. So think perhaps there's a wave that goes like this and ends up back at DLA Piper. Do you have a line or two you can remember?
I can try my intro.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And in fact, let's not try it. Let's do it.
Good morning.
Breathing. She's breathing. Breathing. Did you see her stop breathing? Because that's what we do. Keep on breathing. Lower belly, belly button.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Ernst, CEO of Civic Health, a company at the forefront of bioelectronic medicine. Now, before we dive in, I want to give you a little bit about my background. 6 years ago, I joined an IoT company. Before most of you probably knew what IoT was. I joined it when it was 8 people. We took it to a $500 million market cap in less than 5 years. Before that, I had 20 years at Xerox PARC, one of the leading technology innovation centers in the world. I was evangelizing commerce on the internet a year before Amazon was formed.
Stop. Great. Great. Give her a hand for her bravery. Yeah. So you said it kind of stops here. This is what I think is stopping you. I want you to send it. Because remember that journey has to go all the way. So it's still too much talking head. Yes?
Yeah.
More heart. Because the ladies, we lead with heart and brain. We got that unique combo. Don't forget. So, let yourself off the hook a little. I know it's huge. You're only as good as your last pitch. I know. At the same time, let us see your personality. Don't be afraid. I think we're afraid of that here. Showing our personality, and I don't know why. Even introverts can fake it for 10, can't you? Heck yeah. I can teach you how to do that. So I liked it. Think of maybe pausing, and I'm going to tell you where when you're speaking the words. Think of music. The rests are key, right? What if the music had no rest or pause? Our ears would get fatigued. Your ears can actually fatigue, just like the rest of you. A lot of us can fatigue, but the ears also. So think of a rest at a key point. And some words are worth $0.25, and some words are worth $5. Some are worth even more than that.
Good morning.
Morning.
Plant yourself. Plant yourself. Ooh. Ooh. Give me Wonder Woman while you're talking. Give me Wonder Woman. Yep. And just a little bit closer on the feet, just so that your energy's not too far out. But yes, hold that like that. Hold that like that.
Good morning.
Keep the pose. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm Jennifer Ernst, CEO of Civic Health.
I'm the CEO of
CEO of Civic Health,
Yes, you are.
a company at the forefront of bioelectronic medicine. Now, before we dive in, I'd actually like to share a little of my background.
See? Better, right? She can't feel it, but we can. Yes? More personality. She had more fun. It's an F word, fun. It's okay. It's okay. You should. How'd that feel? Did that feel better?
Good, but I can feel it. I can feel this connection back.
Now you feel that magic we spoke of, right? That magic, that feedback, that magic, that's your audience. Because unless they connect with you emotionally, I still don't think they're going to fund you. They may say it's all numbers and that left brain thing I did, but it's got to land here. Thank you, Jennifer. Yay! Oh my goodness. Questions? Has to be good. Oh, pardon me, yes. Can you stand up and ask? Do we have, because we want to make sure you're heard, so. Oh, I think I'm not supposed to move. I think I'm in big trouble. All right, I'll go back to my spot.
How do you teach people to project? So it sounds like you're telling us to put the sound in front of us. Are there other techniques that you teach?
Well, I think the most important thing is to always have a destination. Yes? So probably think of producing your voice from the upper lip. Because what a lot of people do, they talk on their vocal cord. I'm just going to talk down here on my vocal cords, and it's, ugh. That hurts. Because if we're just at one pitch, the vocal folds, or cords, it's the same. Anatomically, it's more of a fold. But they get fatigued. Because there's no action, there's no dynamic. It's just, hi, I'm just gonna talk down here on my cords for about an hour or so, and then I'll lose my voice. Hear how boring that is? So instead of letting the sound drop, always go to the back of the room and practice that. But you can think of generating the sound here, not in your throat, even though this is where you feel it. Yes? Here's where the cords are vibrating in my trachea. I'm actually thinking higher when I produce it. I'm thinking here. That way the resonance, you can use all of the resonance, the nasal and all the magic that comes out of your bone structure. Because everybody's voice is different. That's why I've always been in love with it. Because it's your speaker, right? It's your anatomy. That's different. So think forward and out instead of down and back or throaty. Okay? Thanks for asking.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I facilitate our Watermark webinars the first Wednesday of every month, 10 to 11 a.m. And
way to get that in. Yes.
on a variety of topics, all for leadership development. And I go back and listen to them, and I just want to crawl under my chair. I listen to my voice, and I just think, oh my God, who is that? It doesn't sound the way I think I sound. What do you do about that?
None of us like our own voice. Isn't that crazy? I know. And a couple things I would suggest, Mary, because I'm going to say that your voice is actually quite wonderful on those webinars. Yeah, and I would tell you the truth. I think try to make friends with your own voice. Yes? Because otherwise it's kind of, you're fighting yourself, or you're more self-conscious, or then the voice is dropping. You can also work in a corner. So you can practice speaking in a corner, and that way you can hear yourself more like we hear you, and then you can self-adjust. That way you can hear more of the resonance that's in your voice naturally. Because it's impossible to hear ourselves as others do, no matter what. It's just the way we're designed.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I'm always trying to lower it when I'm trying to speak, so I sound more authoritarian.
Yeah, I don't want women to artificially lower the pitch. I want you to develop a more rich resonant. Now, I don't mean someone speaking like this or like a little girl. Oh, no, I don't mean that. Generally speaking, a more rich, resonant, full, that dimension that we talked about. Think of your voice as being it's active. It's always moving, yes? Yes.
So I've always been told that I sound fairly young, even though I'm turning 45 in a month or so. And in my mind, I'm actually quite comfortable with my voice. I'm a principal consultant at Frost & Sullivan, and in the past I've heard my tapes. I've spoken. I've done presentations and all of that. I'm actually quite comfortable with my voice. But sometimes the feedback that I get is that I sound too young, even though I'm not young. And at times
You
I
are
think
young.
it's yeah.
You are young.
and at times I think the audience there's certain people that have biases towards me. So what can I do about that? I mean, how is there a way to manipulate your voice or any way to kind of convey the message without, I don't know. I'm actually comfortable with my voice.
Yeah, I actually love your voice. It sounds appropriate to your age. A couple of things. When your tempo sped up, the pitch goes up. That's a natural thing. So I would say, watch how fast you're speaking. Some of us speak so fast. I have to constantly slow down. Because if I spoke as fast as I do, you wouldn't even know what I said. So I think it's a tempo.
Okay.
And then when we speed up, our voice goes up. So bring it back. Bring it back, stay in the center of it. But I love what I hear. I love your voice. It doesn't sound too young. It sounds warm and professional to my ears. Thanks for asking.
We appreciate the advice. It's the tempo.
I think it is, what I just heard based on what we just did. Who else? I can't believe people don't have more questions. I answered everything? Oh, the back. Okay, good.
We've got a couple.
Hi.
Hello.
What a gorgeous crowd you are. Woo! And remember, we love the mic.
Okay.
We love the mic.
I love the mic.
People always say, "Oh, I'm not using the mic," and you'll hear me in the back row. And no, we don't. No, we don't. Thank you.
Sure. I just don't want to yell into it.
Love
Excellent.
it.
So my question for you, you mentioned earlier that when you're interrupted, you want to make sure to not speed up, not let it impact you.
Yes.
And I was curious as to how do you respond if you continue to get interrupted? Like, do you stop them? Do you acknowledge it? Yes, thoughts on that.
Thank you. One of the best people that I ever saw, a very powerful woman, after the second interruption, she said, "Let me finish. Let me finish." And so if you're in a room of extroverts or all men or just rude people, you may need to actually, and I would probably raise my hand. I might actually raise my hand and say, "Let me finish." And if you're, again, grounded, or if you're in a room sitting down, you'll want to make sure you're leaning forward. What do men do? More aggressive posture. Take up more space, lean in, and none of this, nothing about anger, because that'll take you somewhere else, right? Force versus force never works. But just very calmly say, "Let me finish." That's one way to stop it. And continue to reinforce that until they do. Hopefully they'll learn.
I have a question here.
So in a similar vein of interruption,
Yes.
is there an okay way to interrupt? Because let's just say I work with a group of men,
Just saying.
some of the ladies here know them, who they've built a culture of interruption. And it's almost like this, if I can interrupt harder, my opinion gets heard. And so I'm wondering if you have any advice on either how to shift that culture or how to play that game if we decide that we want to play that game.
If you decide you want to play that game. I've actually said a few times, "Excuse me for interrupting you," and then going into it. If I can't get in a word edgewise, "Excuse me, I'm going to need to interrupt here." You can also try, sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. When everybody's getting louder, you can get softer. Because if I start whispering, now you have to lean in to hear me. You can try that. It'll either work or not. Sometimes it'll work to do the exact opposite because the frequency stands out in the room. Does that make sense? because it's a different sound. It's like ending a meeting with applause or or chimes. It's a different sound that interrupts our hearing and our listening patterns. Try those. See if that works. If you're up, looks like you're up for the game. Up to the challenge.
Hi. I was wondering if you have any tips or suggestions for if you're not in a room, if you're just on a conference call, they can't see you, they can't see your posture, you don't necessarily need to voice your volume across the room, but if it's just to a telephone on the table, what would be your tips on that?
I would probably stand up at least for part of it, unless you have just amazing posture, because the energy flows more easily when we're standing up. And continue to imagine that sound as needing to go through the telephone waves to the other side, or through the computer to the other side. So again, it's thinking of the sound waves going a long distance, yes, but for part of it, to keep my energy up and my vibration up, I would stand up, if you can do that. Alternate between sitting and standing, because we can hear the difference in the voice. Good. Thanks for asking. She's in the back row, yay.
Any other questions at the moment? Oh, good.
Okay, this is a first, talking into one of these.
Love the mic. The mic loves you.
Okay, my question, thank you. My question is, say in a brainstorming session, that I put out an idea,
Yes.
and this doesn't always happen, but in certain dynamics, put out an idea, and it's like idea after idea is not heard or acknowledged. But then someone else, a guy, says the same thing, maybe different words, and it's loved.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what do you do about that? One thing that I've heard is have some wing women to comment on that, but I'm wondering what you have to say.
Yeah, I do like that. Some of the women suggest that. You know, it depends the situation. Do I want to fight the battle or not? But it is unbelievable when somebody else takes the credit for something that we said. Yes. I think, Michelle, for you, I would want a little deeper voice. I'd want a little more mature voice. She said and a couple of times. So to me, you're in the head. You're not quite as powerful as I would want. I don't want any filler words. No ums, no ahs, no, let it be a pause. And you can either slow down or speed up depending on the situation. You can try either way. Slow down, see if they'll hear you. If not, speed up a bit, see if they'll hear you. But I want you to speak, think about developing a little more rich, a little more maturity that represents your credibility and your incredible knowledge. Yes? Yeah, that's my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. Who else? Oh, yay, 2 more hands. Woo!
Thank you. So my question is more to the younger generations that are coming up. All of us here, some of us have kids and all of that. How do we teach the young women growing up that this is going to happen, and how do they deal with it when they're still young? Yeah.
Well, you know, children learn the best through example, yes? So if mama's speaking up, that's the first thing. What if we can change the culture and it won't happen? That's what I'm hoping. That will change this, all of us in this room and good conscious people outside of the room. Give her a chance to always speak and be heard. Yes? Unlike the way I was raised. And my father passed when I was very young, so I didn't have that support either. So make sure her father or a male figure, again, a good man, is listening to her. Especially the little girls. I think little boys are naturally more more vocal. They're just, that's encouraged, yes? And we are wired differently, as we know. But I would make sure, when I talk to children, I actually get down eye level to them so that they know I'm listening at a whole nother level. I actually get down and look them in the eye. Those are some of the things you can do to make sure she or he knows in their heart and soul that what they have to say matters. But how about we change that culture as well? Let's see if we can't do that.
So somebody back here? Yes? Yeah. And if anybody wants to practice with Miluna, I'd love for us to see another laser coaching session.
I know.
Thank you. To the lovely woman who commented on the fact that she wasn't acknowledged after voicing up. Yes.
Michelle?
I had the same experience. And I spoke up because I was frustrated. I told my director that I said the same thing earlier, but somebody else, a man, said the same thing, and you acknowledged it. I spoke up in front of people because I was frustrated. And thinking back, I should have been less emotional when I said that, but I learned my lesson. So I wouldn't have done it any other way, but maybe with a little bit less emotion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so every time you speak up, it gets better, yes?
Yes.
And as you said, you learned a lot. Maybe next time you'll do it privately, yes? I just want to make you aware of something. I said this fantastic idea 2 hours ago, but you know, Joe said it and you heard him say it. Did you hear me say it? Play with that. And of course, depending on your boss and how open and how aware and do they have any emotional intelligence and all that good stuff. But it's kind of a game as well, so have fun with that. And good on you for speaking up. Thank you.
One more comment.
Yes.
When I said emotional, I wasn't raising my voice or I wasn't crying, but within me, I felt like I was angry. I am not sure how I projected. I wasn't sure if people thought I was angry, but I felt it. So I'd like to clarify that I wasn't visibly angry or stomping my feet or rolling on the ground.
Maybe that'd work. Well, and it's the anger that all of us have. I call it sacred rage. Because we have a right to it. Stuff has happened. And so that's in our DNA. So, yeah, I have a lot of anger about things. And good for you for not allowing the pitch or not showing, but holding the ground and expressing in an even tone. This is what I felt. This is what just happened. Good for you. Yes. I think Mary has the mic for you. Everyone gets to be heard in here.
Yay. Related to that comment, I'm wondering whether you have some tips on how to hide your emotions when you're speaking. Because there are definitely times when I feel very angry, and when I get angry, sometimes I tear up because I'm just so angry.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to control your voice at that point. And also it goes the same way for nervousness.
Yes.
When I'm really nervous, I feel my knees shaking, my voice shaking. How do you control that?
Yeah. Would you come up here with me?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Bring that mic. Remember that mic loves you. Yes? See? It's a lovely mic.
It is a lovely mic.
See? It's already different. So give me, I think I'm still, excuse me, I'm such a bad. So, stand firm. So, a little bit closer. Yeah. Because this means energy out, yes? And this would mean that I'm not confident, pigeon-toed. So we're...
She just did this, that's energy out. For people who can't see.
So this is too much energy out. Can everybody see this?
No.
Probably not. If I sit on the table. I know. So, like this.
Use your hands.
And then And then if I'm pigeon-toed like this, I'm not very confident. So my toes are now in like this. So it's just an equal balance. That's all it is. A little bit closer. Yeah. Now when you feel those emotions rise, I want you to stay right here in the third chakra, right in this center. And if you'll stay here and keep breathing, and just pause, then it should pass. Yes? Now if you, I've left the room. I used to leave the room if I was that upset, but I understand you cannot always do that. And it's not always acceptable depending on the arena that you're in. If you can, I would leave, but if you can't, and then, yeah, okay, let go. There you go. And think of expanding your back as well. So the rib cage needs to be up. See, this is collapsed. Can everybody see this? I just kind of cut myself in half with this. So for my ladies, I say keep the girls up. Ribs up helps everything. So the gravity is not set. See? Would you turn profile so that everyone can see that? See the difference? It's so subtle. That makes all the difference in the world. So think of staying right here and breathing and see if you can just pause long enough to let that wave pass so that you hold your dignity the way you want to. Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer has another question.
It's not a question, but there's a Watermark resource I'd love to see if we can find a way to share. A couple of years ago at a conference, there was I think it was Watermark, it was a male-female team on stage that talked about this exchange problem, and particularly the interrupting. And what he pointed out was that men interrupt other men too. What they're better at doing is claiming the ball back. He compared it to a basketball game. Right? He said the goal is to be the last one with the ball that got it into the basket. And when I observed that, when I listened to that, I started observing the meetings and noticing they do. It's not just us, and we take it personally. We think, we take it personally.
We do.
We have rights to because we are interrupted more. But the discovering that dynamic is there and then figuring out, okay, what skills do I need to do to reclaim the basketball? And there were actually a ton of other tips in that same session, so I don't know how to find it, but it was one of those.
John Gray. Who's John Gray? John Gray, the guy who wrote
Men from Mars, Women from
Venus. And he was with another woman whose name I can't remember, but it was very interesting. And I liked that basketball one, and I've used that and found it helpful.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Fantastic.
What else?
Yay, more tips.
Oh, good.
Hi.
Hi.
I love that that story about taking the basketball back. My curiosity is, what about being accused of being hysterical when you're trying to take that basketball back? Because it does. It happens. Women get judged differently when they are when we speak up, and we want to take the conversation back.
Yeah, that word hysterical. That's so manipulative. Such a weapon. I think humor usually is one of the ways, yes? To not get more anger and force versus force. I would probably say, if you think this is hysterical, you should wait. I'd probably just hit that head on. If they're that aggressive and sassy, sarcastic, just put the ball right back. Hold your ground on that. She's coming with the microphone.
I love a microphone.
Yay!
I was just going to say, and I'm a clinical psychologist, so I really enjoyed this. I was just going to say to you, my advice would be to say, great minds think alike. I totally agree. That's what I was saying earlier. And own that. Own that
you said the same thing, and don't, make it confrontational, make it positive. Fantastic, I'm so glad you agree with me.
Thank you. Exactly. That'll stop them. Thank you.
How do you get better at thinking on your feet? I just am like deer in headlights if I'm not expecting something, and I have to okay, just take. Oh. I mean, how do you get your brain working again?
Better to do that. Well, I think some of the things that we spoke about, preparing and maybe anticipating some of the questions, it's also just your experience, knowing that you can handle it. And guess what? If you don't know the answer, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. I'm never afraid to say I don't know. And I think some of us, especially in this area, there's so much intelligence here. We don't want to say I don't know. But if you fake that or do something, then I think that's not, that goes somewhere else. You can always get back to them with that answer. So continue to breathe and stay in the body right here. Because the minute we let it all come up here, send it back down or go down to your feet, yes? And then take another breath. That's just the best thing, to just take another breath and pause. Interesting question. I don't really, that's overused, but you could say, I don't know, I've got to think about that for a minute. There's a few things you can do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody getting ready to practice, needing to practice for a presentation? Question?
A couple hands back. What a gorgeous crowd you are. Give yourselves a hand. Yay!
The best advice that I've gotten about that one is to always repeat the question and maybe rephrase it so that it gives you time to think about it and to see that, was that your question? Is this what you want? And then that gives you some time to think about it so that you can give back an answer. And so I think that has been great for me.
Nice.
And my question is about, I tend to talk really fast sometimes.
Yes, you do.
Yes. And so what are your tips for how do I think about it or how do I notice it to try to slow down?
Think of it more of pacing yourself, yes? Instead of the sprint, you're in the mile. So you don't need to get there the fastest. You want to finish, but you want to be heard and understood. Yes? So when we speak too fast and it gets all crazy, we can understand what? I think just record yourself a little bit, pace yourself, practice speaking ridiculously slowly, and then balance that in the middle. Just speak so slow, it's going to make you crazy, and then try to get in the middle of that. You can even set a timer and see if you're slowing down the patterns a bit. Thank you.
So I actually have that same problem too about speaking fast, and the best way that I overcame that was advice from my CEO. This was my old company, and he actually said, when you're in the room, especially in Silicon Valley, so many people are not native English speakers, so just always assume that whoever you're speaking to is not a native English speaker, and you try to speak slowly so that they understand you. So he gave me that advice, and since then I think it's really helped me because I just pretend, oh, everyone here is from Japan. They need me to speak really, really slow to understand, and I think it's helped me.
Nice. Thank you. There's a hand.
So how can we help each other in the sense, one thing I've noticed is women in particular will make comments that are statements, but they sound like questions. How do we help each other by calling that out and coaching them through it? Because I really think in a room of men and even in a room with women, it doesn't come across that you really know what you're talking about, that you're questioning even yourself.
It's true. It's upspeak. And you hear it so much, even on television now. It's everywhere. I think it started probably in Los Angeles. When I moved there, I said, Valley girls do exist. What is this? What is this way of speaking? We need to be aware of ending the sentences going down. So I think at first, practice everything going down. Because upspeak is if I go, upspeak? Oh yes, I'm going to do that now? And so everything sounds like I'm asking a question and I don't know what I'm talking about? I'm exaggerating, but you'll hear these patterns. And so if you have a question, then make sure the next sentence goes down. What do you think about doing this? Here's my thought. Hear the difference? Because upspeak is just, someone else I think called it baby speak. But it's, again, acting like a young girl instead of a competent businesswoman. But I've even heard newscasters do this now. It's not, remember the old newscasters? You were taught how to broadcast and speak in certain ways. And we never used to speak in those patterns. So I'm not sure where it started. But I would probably record myself and see if I'm ending everything on an up instead of down. Yeah, great point. Thank you.
What other advice do you have on practicing? So you talked to me about speaking into a corner. You mentioned recording. Other ideas on how we can practice?
Well, sometimes, especially for techies in the room or engineers, I might suggest poetry. Especially someone that kind of speaks, as I referred to earlier, they just kind of sort of speak like this and there's no dynamic and it's just boring. Shakespeare is wonderful. It's tricky, but it produces a natural sing-song or love poetry, something like that with a natural rhythm or sing-song or pattern. That helps develop. And it also adds more richness to the voice. Even rhymes, things like that. Anything that you can play with and have fun with. Dr. Seuss, amazing. Talk about a way with words. Dr. Seuss.
Other question?
Not everybody knows who Dr. Seuss is? Getting some looks. Okay. If you don't, please find out. Yes. Yay, we love the microphone.
I am the CEO of an executive search firm in San Francisco, and 90% of my employees are women.
Okay.
So I am constantly coaching them on speaking down as opposed to having the uplift on the end. However, within a few weeks, I hear it again, over and over around the office. So I would look to you to give me some advice on how to continually coach them on keeping their voice even, especially when they're talking to a CEO.
Yes.
Or someone that they are, so that they're more consultative as opposed to, oh, can I ask you this? Or the other thing is using the word just. Just wanted to ask you, just wanted to check in is another one. Those are some of my pet peeves that I try to coach the women on. So, your advice on that.
Thank you. And just is one of those minimizer words, isn't it? I don't really want to bother you. So we want to eliminate that, don't we? Absolutely. That's just a minimizer. I guess you'll have to make a game out of this. That when you hear that, you can say, are you asking a question? Or are you making a statement? And then reflect it back to them. Here's what I heard. I heard you go up. And that sentence really needed to come down in order to be taken seriously. You can also say, you know how much that's costing us to do that? You can probably run the numbers. I don't know if we can quantify it, but you could say that just cost about $10,000 to do that. Think of some fun ways to do it. Sneak up and record them, let them hear it. I think people are not, don't put it on Facebook. I'm convinced some people really cannot hear that they're doing that. So I think recording, and I would play with them. I'd say, I heard you say this again. And what I need you to say is this again. Use hand motions, get the body involved, that helps as well. Make them physically do that. That's what I would start with. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
May I practice a poem with you?
Yes. Of course you can.
It's called Still I Rise by Maya Angelou.
I love Maya Angelou.
What do I need first?
So, assume the position. Yeah. A little closer, Kate. A little closer. Yeah. Breathe from here. Expand here. Let your ribs expand all the way around. But let this go. Just imagine your rib cage expanding. Go. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Am I ready?
I think you're ready. Let's see what happens.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may throw me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living wells. Oh, pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like sun, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awfully hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've cut diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, wailing and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I'm the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
How'd that feel, Kate? Little stiff? Not natural, because I know your personality. I know this woman, so I can speak to this. So we're going to need to have motion. Maya has the sexiest words you will ever hear. That woman could write like nobody's business, yeah? So you're going to have to make love to it, right? Does my haughtiness upset you? Are you bothered by my thighs? So break it down like you're just, because almost all of her words mean something. Yeah, you almost can't skip over any of those words. Let me see a couple of those lines that are just so sassy. Sassy. Yeah, so put one hand, right, yeah. Does my sexiness upset you? It's okay, there's only one guy and he's smiling in the back, our videographer. He's like, yeah. Don't bother me, I'm feeling it, thank you.
Does my sexiness offend you?
Does my sexiness, I bet it goes sexy. sexiness upset you?
Does my sexiness offend you?
I know. Does it come as a surprise? I would go up on that. Does it come as a surprise?
Does it come as a surprise?
That I dance like I've got diamonds.
That I dance like I've got diamonds.
At the meeting of my thighs.
At the meeting of my thighs.
Play with that. Take it apart like that. Bring it. You got to bring it to life. Those words are so alive. It's got to be acted out. Good job, Kate. Thank you. That is Still I Rise, correct, Maya Angelou? That's a good poem to practice on. Especially if you're not used to being sensual. Yes? And you probably want to apply it in the boardroom. However, part of the charm of our femininity is that, and we've turned it down. You know, I flirt with everybody. It is what it is. That's our charm, so don't underestimate that, your charm. Please.
I too love the microphone.
Yay!
Microphone love. So I believe, what was I talking about? Okay. Language is a holistic tool. So for me, body language comes right together. So what is your suggestion or your tips of how to use it in a positive way and how to not overwhelm the audience? Suppose you're presenting and you overdo it, it's a distractor. So what is the right balance and how can you mold it as part of a stronger tool?
Nice. The posture that we've assumed, yes. So we've determined that. And I prefer, depending on the situation, still versus pacing. Pacing makes me crazy. And what happens when you see a pacer? It's hard to follow that. Yes, it's kind of following the bouncing ball. And now we're a little distracted. Yes? It's the same as if I start hearing ums, I start to count them. Because I can't help myself. It's my business. So now I'm not listening at all. I'm thinking, that was a 30-second I've heard. I'm going to lose my mind. The best thing is to videotape yourself and make sure that you're not pacing. Still would be better. If you're not comfortable with gestures or choreography, then less. Always do less. Less is more. Yeah, but I love the way you speak.
Got time for a few more?
Okay.
So my question is a little different. It's not just about speech.
Yeah.
I've been in work teams where I'm the only girl on the team, not at my current job, but in past jobs. And sometimes I feel like the men just form stronger bonds because they might go out to dinner after work or go out to get a drink and they would invite me, but I could tell that sometimes they didn't want me to go with them or I didn't want to go with them. So how do you deal with situations like that? How do you still have the same bond at work or have them take you as seriously, just as seriously as other men?
That's tricky, isn't it? Well, I started my own company because I got tired of corporate. Yeah, easy for me to say, right? It depends. I heard a CEO, a female CEO last week who said she learned to play golf. I don't want to learn to play golf. And I'm not going to learn to play golf. So to me, that's not a solution. But I would probably, if they invite you out for a drink, I probably would go. I think if you'll participate and listen, see what they talk about. I mean, I don't follow sports except for Formula One, so I can speak about auto racing, but I don't care about anything else. So I don't like the old boy and you got to do that and play golf. I don't like all of those things. I think we need to move beyond that. Maybe invite them out. Could you do that or host something or Just let them know you are part of the team and you wish to be included. And you're not the same, you're not an equal. You're the only female, and so what an advantage. What an advantage for them. But I think I might hang with them a little bit in a very professional way. Yeah. Just let them feel, oh, she's here. She wanted to come out. Because they're little boys sometimes, as you know. They want to be liked too. So do that. Yeah.
Anything else?
Anybody else?
I actually have a question for Marlene Williamson, our CEO.
Yay.
She gets in front of 6,500 people and owns the stage at
Yes,
the
she
Watermark
does.
Conference for Women next time, February 23rd, 2018. How do you do it? How did you get so good at this? And I have a second question. What do you do before you go out on stage? How do you warm yourself up?
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
And how do you handle that?
And how do I handle that? Yeah. I think as we progress through our lives, we know what we're good at, and we know what we're not so good at. And so I'm a huge fan of Marcus Buckingham and all of his books about focus on your strengths. And even as a kid, I just loved being on stage. You know, kind of like Miluna, who started out as an actor. So I just worked on my strengths over and over and over again. So I practice like crazy. I memorize. I enjoy the process. I have fun with it. I don't give a damn if I screw up. I enjoy making people laugh, having fun. I work on my my pitch, my volume, my intonation. I've worked with coaches, and to me, I'm always the one raising my hand going, let me up there, let me talk, you know, and for all of you who have said, I love the microphone, I'm back here going, yes, yes, you know, because the more you do it, it's like any other skill, whether you like golf or you hate golf or tennis or paddleboarding, whatever, it's just a skill. If you think that can help you in business and your career, I encourage you to take every opportunity and just practice, practice, practice. So that's my advice.
Yes. Someone up here, one more question? Yes? How are we doing?
Let's take the last question and then we have a special drawing. Marlene's got the microphone.
Everyone sit up tall for me. Yeah, it's warm in here. A lot of energy. Fantastic information. Remember your breathing. Breathing from here, not here, right?
Thank you. I just wanted to add to the question about body language. I recently heard that there was a study of the top TED Talks, and it looked at body language, and it said that the top TED Talks used significantly more body language than the ones that weren't as successful. And so it was something like there's about 200 something for the ones that weren't as good versus 400 something in that 18-minute window. And so it sounds like when it comes to speaking in a very large stage, which is going to be different from being in a small room, that in a large stage, that the more gesturing you're using, you're physically engaging your audience with you. So I think that would be really effective. But then in the small room, always there's some level of less for a smaller room and more for a bigger room. So I just wanted to add that color.
Great point.
Thank
It's
you
true.
very much.
On a huge stage with the video and TED Talks, you're absolutely right. That's fantastic. It's a difference between theater and when I was on TV camera. You got to turn it all the way down. Thank you. Thank you.
You'll stick around and ask more questions later?
I will. And I'm going to give away 5 complimentary executive voice consultations.
Ooh.
I know. I think I want one. So over there, see those 2 green clipboards and that little golden basket that says, I want to command the room. Thank you, Marlene. All you do, sign up for a time. You'll see 2 sheets, this week and next. Put your card in there, and we'll be in touch. All right? how to be heard in a world that interrupts women. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miluna. Thank you. So great. Another amazing Watermark event. Thank you, Miluna. And thank you to DLA Piper. Thank you to the wonderful team from 1440. And as we always do, we always like to support our Watermark community. And for those of you who are Watermark members, you have in your name tag, there's a ticket in there. And we're going to have Miluna pull the winning number for an amazing bottle of wine. So Miluna, what's the number?
The number is
254.
Yes.
6092.
Ooh, that's a very sexy number!
Sexy!
Wow! And Jennifer, it is Stag's Leap. We treat our members right at Watermark. Congratulations, Jennifer. And I did want to point out, for those of you who don't know Jennifer very well, Jennifer was the winner of Watermark's annual Shark Tank competition at our annual entrepreneur conference. So it is no surprise to us that you are rocking it with your business. So we are so proud of you. Congratulations. All right, so on your seat you have a survey, and please, please do not leave the room. We take your feedback extremely seriously. We want to hear what you